Welcome to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, the birthplace of Congregational Humanism. We carry on that tradition of free thought today, dedicated to promoting a free search for truth, meaning, and justice. Our web address is firstunitarian.org. I'm David Breeden, Senior Minister. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday Assembly for February 26, 2023. We are so glad that you've joined us on this bright, sunny day, whether you're with us here in our Upper Assembly Hall at First Unitarian Society on Mount Curve Avenue in Minneapolis, or you're joining us online. We are delighted that you are here as a part of our gathered community. We're doing something a little bit different in Assembly. We're going to put our announcements toward the end of Assembly. We're eager to help our young ones get out earlier for their religious education classes. So don't worry if you haven't heard what you're going to have for your mini meal. You'll get that information a little bit later. That will come. Our theme for the month of February is On the Path of Love. These are the words of Amy Carroll Webb. Humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time, we come into the presence of what we do know, perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever the only answer to everything and everyone in every moment. Come, let us gather in community.
Good morning. My name is Amos Lucidi, and I am the accompanist, the piano accompanist here at FUS. And I know today we also have some new members, so you will be seeing me sometimes playing solo pieces, sometimes accompanying the great choir. Well, actually, two great choirs we have. And I want to just speak very briefly about the three pieces that I will be performing today. The first of them, it's Intermezzo number 1 by Manuel Ponce. Manuel Ponce is a Mexican composer, and I've lived for a very long time in Mexico. It is kind of my second home. And I really like his music, and one of my efforts in diversifying, the music presented is actually including a lot of Mexican pieces, and among them, of course, Ponce's music. Now, it's funny because this piece that I chose, I'm sure that many of you actually have heard the melody, but probably didn't even know it was by Ponce. It's a very famous, his most famous piano tune. And its relationship to love, well, to me, it's kind of, very melodramatic piece. And, many times we tend to depict love in these terms, in movies, etc. So for me, that is that first piece. The second piece that I will perform, it's called Aufschwung. It's the second piece of a series of pieces by Robert Schumann. And its translation could be like upswing or something like that, like an upward movement. This piece, I got inspired to play this piece by the talk that we would have. I won't give any, I won't disclose anything or give you any spoilers about that. But since we're talking about emotions and agitation, I thought this piece would suit that talk very well. And you'll be able to judge for yourselves. Finally, to conclude the third piece at the end of the whole service will be an intermezzo by another German composer, Johannes Brahms. In this case, this intermezzo is, when I think about love as a universal feeling, and if I had to put music to it, not only, like love for a partner or for a family, but in general, like an overall feeling, I would describe it with this music written by Brahms. So I hope you will enjoy the three pieces.
Thank you, Amos. Each week we begin our assembly by lighting our chalice. This week, remembering our fourth FUS aspiration. We aspire to support one another's journey toward meaning and connection in the here and now. And now we all get to make some music. Let us sing For All That Is Our Life. It's number 128 in the Gray Songbook, and the lyrics, of course, will show up here. Please stand as you're willing and able.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. After moment is alive, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fear we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Please remain standing for our congregational covenant. Love is the spirit of this place, and service its laws. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. Please be seated. First Unitarian Society is a congregational humanist community, and for us that means we are here for each other. On Sundays, we take a few moments to reflect on the joys, the sorrows, and the milestones of the human experience. We do this to remind ourselves of the value of a moment of stillness, and we are reminded to stay in touch with our own humanity. As a gathered community, we do this so that no one among us is alone in celebrating life's joys or in facing life's tragedies and burdens. We are here for each other. This morning, we send our good thoughts and we remember fondly Ginger Wilson. Ginger died this week after a many years-long battle with Alzheimer's. And Dodd says he's a bit weepy, but he's glad that she is not suffering anymore. She was no longer quite herself, the woman that he had been married to for 64 years. The memorial service is being planned for this space for late April. And Dodd asked if this morning, as I shared this with you, I would share a few lines of this song that you know, that he's been thinking of all week.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you.
Now we take a few moments to reflect on our world and those who work to comfort and heal the suffering and those who work for justice.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
Amos, I'll come and get that microphone. Oh, you'll just hand me the baskets. Thank you. Just a little stagecraft there. This is our time that we share a time for all ages. That's for the young ones and the more seasoned ones. We're seasoned, we're salty, we know it. Today, we are welcoming new members into our congregation. You'll notice them by the boutonnieres that they're wearing today. You'll see them up here on the stage in a few minutes and then downstairs in the lower assembly hall. And it's really been a joy to get to know these new members. And so when I'm talking to our younger ones today, I thought, well, what do I want to talk about? And I thought I wanted to talk about what it means to belong to a place, to belong to a bunch of people and have them belong to you. We belong to different sets of people. And those belongings sometimes change. We belong in our families, and sometimes our families change. We belong to our school classroom. If we go to a school classroom, we may belong to a Girl Scout or Boy Scout group or another kind of group that we've joined. We might belong to a friend group. We might belong to the band or the choir, or another kind of music group, or a book club. What are some of the other things that you might belong to? Just shout them out. Master Gardeners. A backgammon club. Bocce ball. A band. Amen, yeah. You might belong to a camping group. A camping group, yes. Your house. You might belong to your house, your neighborhood, for sure. Amnesty International.
Trade union.
A trade union. Excellent, a trade union.
Women Against Military Madness.
Women Against Military Madness. A hockey team. A different kind of sports team. A 12-step group. A football group, a fan group. Oh, see, these are all good. We belong in all kinds of ways. Now, some of those groups that you named, you can be a little casual, kind of a distance, and maybe everybody in that big group doesn't know you. But the more we allow ourselves to be known, the more that people can know us and we can know them. We kind of break down some barriers when we belong in a place. And here's the thing. Is anybody here perfect? Okay, Wendy. Besides Wendy. Love it. None of us are exactly perfect. We all mess up sometimes. We even mess up sometimes with the people that we love the most. Oh, I hate when that happens. But we do. But here, when you belong here, you are welcome exactly as you are. Fully human, warts and all. You don't have to be famous or special, because you're already special. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you. And so as we welcome our new members today, perfect as they are, as we welcome our new members today, we are going to welcome you exactly as you are, with all of your beauties and flaws and imperfections. And we invite you to get to know all of us, both the young ones and the seasoned ones, exactly as we are, with all of our imperfections. That's our big message all the time at First Unitarian Society. That's what it means to be human. So now, we're not going to sing our children out just yet. You get to be here as a part of the new member ceremony. We're going to invite our new members to come up to the stage, please. I will say as they're coming up, please. We ordered their name tags. You know how special it is to get your name tag. Come right on up. We paid extra to get them here today, but supply chain issues being what they are, we were not able to do so. So anyway, just spread out right along both sides of the pulpit. And we'll have our ceremony.
As we welcome our new members to the First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, Let us begin with these wise words from the Reverend Dr. William Schultz, former president of the Unitarian Universalist Association.
This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands. FUS board member Michael Pileggi speaks for the congregation. No, come over here.
We joyfully welcome you into our congregation and gratefully acknowledge your choice to join us. May you find among us fellowship and help in time of need. We pledge our support and our encouragement as you join us in our search for truth and meaning and our striving towards justice.
We come to this congregation aware of the privileges and responsibilities of membership. We bring our talents and our enthusiasm, our shortcomings and our doubts, our gifts and our hopes. We join this congregation celebrating freedom of conscience and working for justice and peace.
We rejoice in the promise of new connections. May those who share this journey with us always find a loving community here.
Into this community, these new members are now enfolded. May this congregation nurture and challenge them, offering comfort and guidance and calling forth the best within them and all of us. May they in turn bring energy, vision, and laughter, that this may become ever more fully the community it strives to be.
Let us now close by reading the Aspirations of the First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. If you would all please stand. We aspire to live joyfully and ethically in loving, reverent relationship with humanity and nature. Pursue wisdom through reason, science, art, and the stories of civilizations. Make the change we need for a more just, compassionate, and peaceful world. Support one another's journey toward meaning and connection in the here and now. Join me in welcoming our new members.
And now we'll sing our children out to their religious education classes.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world, and change will come to you.
Thanks so much. Well, this past week I beat the snowstorm and made it out to New York City to celebrate the, what we call installation. It's a weird word, you know, like a refrigerator, but the installation of our community minister, J. Exodus Hooper, as a part-time leader in the New York City Society for Ethical Culture. And I was very honored to be asked to attend that august occasion. Now, as you know, if you've listened to much of what I've said, that I believe that humanism, the ethical culture movement, Unitarian Universalism, and secular people in general are in a historic turning point, a turning point at which we, at last, will give up the last vestiges of our Euro-Christian centrism, that isn't a word, but you get the idea, and embrace the entire world and its people. Not this time as part of a colonizing army, not as a colonizing corporation or as a colonizing religion, but as people who are interested in other people's lives, their loves, their philosophies, and how they do things, so that we can actually learn from each other. As Christian scripture phrases it, and it shall come to pass. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young shall see visions, and your old shall dream dreams. And you know me, I like the King James Version of the Bible. It's always very stately. But wherever you happen to be on the continuum of age, I invite you to see those visions and dream those dreams of a secular future in which we are able to finally get past the parochialisms of our past. And yeah, I'm an old man and I dream dreams, and my dream is that people of a liberal religious spirit will at last reach out and heal all of the old wounds that we have created together. And I'm very glad to welcome our new members on this journey. We've been here for a long time. We've gone through a lot of changes, and we need to change more. For too long, public spaces, especially public worship spaces, have said, you're welcome here, but leave your queerness at home. Leave your blackness at home. Leave your real life and your real culture at home and come in and be totally uptight with us. But we're working to get past that leave yourself at home stuff. That's what we're working on here at First Unitarian Society, a way for everyone to finally be welcome, to bring your queerness and bring your blackness and bring your life and your culture and your hopes and your dreams, and then be human together, not fake human or uptight or repressed human, but actually human together. That, I see it, is the goal, and that's this particular old man's dream. And I was glad to join in to the Ethical Culture Society in New York in celebrating their step toward that goal. Now, my question today is not a simple one, I don't think, unless I'm missing something. And my question is, what is an emotion? Now, you know me, I look up the etymology of words when I wonder about these things. And the English word emotion originates in Latin. It's a very simple etymology, and it meant move out, to remove, or to agitate. And it's just putting two words together, ex, which becomes compressed into out, and movere. So move out. That's what emotion means, move out of. Then in the 1650s, it begins to be spoken in English as a strong feeling, and now today, after about 1808, it becomes just a word for feelings. And that's about as complicated as we've got here to understand at least the word emotion. It is out of, somehow, moving out of, right? And it's a feeling. Okay, that's what we got so far. Well, then I want to think a little bit about the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. Many of you know I like Stoic philosophy very much. One of the reasons about that is that it was a contemplative tradition very close to Buddhism that was then wiped out by the Christians early on in the Roman Empire period. But it was a movement that really was able to focus in and talk about contemplation in a serious way that Christianity didn't do until many centuries later. But Epictetus wrote this: "Remind yourself that it is not only the desire for power or riches that makes us mean and subject to the will of others. Even the desire for tranquility and leisure and traveling abroad and of learning. To say it plainly, whatever the external thing may be, it is the value that we place upon that thing that makes us subject to the will of others." Simple experiment, you know. If you want a new Mercedes, you've got to go buy it. And so the will of others will tell you how you're going to go about doing that. It goes from that to love to vacuuming the floor. Epictetus says this: "Therefore, what is the difference between saying, 'I am unhappy, I have nothing to do, I am bound like a corpse to my books,' or saying, 'I am unhappy because I have no time for reading'?" Well, allow me to repeat that so you can think on that. What's the difference between saying, "I am unhappy, I have nothing to do, I am bound like a corpse to my books," or saying, I am unhappy because I have no time for reading"? All right? Clearly, the difference is in attitude. It's about the subjective creation of how we make ourselves, allow ourselves, somehow to get that emotion going. But it is our brains telling us this. Now, the theme for February has been the path of love. And so far, I've talked about how the English language itself is sparse in defining the word love. We've got one word for it. The Greeks had 6. I've talked about love as being an emotion, how we see falling in love to be also the hard work of loving your neighbor and your enemies. It's not just about falling, it's also about work. And as I pointed out a couple of Sundays back, the translation, "love your neighbor as thyself," is incorrect as a translation because Greek has more words for love. Rather, the point is the respect for your neighbor as for yourself, which is different, isn't it? Love your neighbor as thyself is sort of, "What? That guy? Are you kidding?" And then you just kind of give up, right? Because, I mean, how am I going to love that guy? But respect, that's easier to work on, isn't it? To have respect for your neighbor as for yourself. That's a goal that we can actually reach toward. Respecting our neighbor can be worked on. It's not about falling in love with your neighbor. Our challenges become even more complicated, though, as we look deeper into this. The Christian religious tradition, which permeates our culture in ways we don't even see, the Christian tradition doesn't have much to say about subjective reality. If you grew up in Sunday school, you may have noticed that. It just doesn't talk about your subjective emotional feelings. You just do it. And belief is a forcible thing within this thing. It's not about feeling, it's about forcing yourself to do these things. Now, I know I'm painting with a broad brush, but you're getting the idea. Subjectivity is not what it's about. Early Christianity stamped out the contemplative traditions of Stoicism, Epicureanism, and other Greek movements. And contemplation, by which I mean working on your own mind, right? What's my consciousness like? That kind of contemplation became only the work of the professionals, the monks and the nuns, right? And that got moved into and off of the plate of the peasant in the field, right? So it was simply moved over and made a profession at that point. The combination of de-emphasizing the subjective experience and the challenges of even understanding what love is when you're speaking the English language team up to create some serious problems in the Western world, I think. Again, I mean, the question is, what is an emotion anyway? It's something that pops up and goes out. Okay. The fact is, people studying the question still have not come up with a real definition. If you look at different fields, you get different kinds of answers to what is an emotion. What does contemplation even mean? Is emotion only what happens spontaneously? And now, given these questions, we have to start with the basics. And if you've looked at emotion wheels, and there are lots of them online, right, they try to start very basic: happy, mad, sad, scared, maybe. Or sometimes it's bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, sad, happy, surprised. All right? So, okay, so I feel something, I'm having an emotion, right? And how do I categorize it? Let me look up my emotion wheel, and then I can have a response, right? And that's exactly where the contemplation traditions say, no, you've got this wrong. The sequence is not stimulus response, right? But rather stimulus, decision about how I'm going to act, response. And as a matter of fact, traditions such as Taoism, Buddhism, and Stoicism, and the contemporary movement called mindfulness that are kind of a Reader's Digest of all of those, all say that the only freedom that we have is our freedom of action between the stimulus and the response. That's your only place you get a choice. If you make the same choice every time, you're making the same choice every time. But you have made a choice to do that. All right? All you have is now. Very basic Buddhism and Stoicism. Now, that's exactly what Epictetus is saying when he asks, what's the difference between saying, I am unhappy, I have nothing to do, I'm bound like a corpse to my books, or saying, I'm unhappy because I have no time to read? You see, you have time to read or you don't. That's the stimulus. Okay. But between the stimulus and the response comes the spin. And that's what your brain is doing to us, whether we know it or not. What Epictetus is saying is that we can be happy or unhappy about just about any situation, just about any stimulus. The difference is according to how we react to that stimulus. And we react to stimulus through a whole matrix of social, societal conditioning, and we really don't know maybe how much of our basic emotions we still are able to access because of that. If you've ever been taught that real men never show emotion, then to any stimulus, my reaction is going to be, I'm a man, I don't have emotion. I'm going to be emotionless, no matter what I feel, right? This is where the toxic masculinity comes in. Where is that energy going to go when you're telling yourself, this is what I have to do? A lot of people have spent a lot of time thinking about this. Now, let's say that something makes me angry. I know you can't imagine it, but imagine Rev Kelly saying, David, you are really getting on my nerves. Now, as a hillbilly male, I was taught to never show anger, right? Anger is the most fearful thing that a hillbilly male can show, because we have guns and we know how to use them, and we don't have emotions. So we're very angry and very dangerous a lot of the time. So I learned to appear never to get angry. Okay, well. So when Rev Kelly says, you're lowering a sow's belly, which I've seen movies in which Texas people say that, right? Right. That's right.
I would never.
But I can't get angry about that. I can't pull out my shooting iron like they do in the movies, all right? Everything in my upbringing says I can't show anger. So how do I react? As a hillbilly, I'm going to say, oh, Kelly, I'm so sorry, right? I don't know what's wrong with me. Tell me, I can't feel anger. So what do? I just have to weep and say, I'm sorry, aw shucks, right? Which makes me angry inside, right? So you see the problem, right? For me, the natural reaction, anger, has been replaced by my societal upbringing. Therefore, it has become automatic stimulus for me, actually, at this point, to feel anger, get the stimulus, and not reflect and have no anger, right? Because I might immediately jump naturally to apology at this point. No, I don't feel emotion, right? So, you see, that's how the stimulus works. Now, let's take a more literary example. Henry and William James are famous psychologists, novelists, etc., etc. Most people have not heard of their smarter sister, who was very, very gifted, Alice James. Alice James was not allowed, as a Victorian lady, to do very much in the world, but she did keep a diary. And in one place in her diary, she said, "Oh, if a lady could only say damn." Now, that's sad, isn't it? It's light fare in our time, but scandalous in Alice's time. Between the stimulus and the response, she had to study the structure of being a lady and how ladies don't use profanity. Because that's a measure of your social class and of your respectability and your composure. Ladies don't say damn. That's the challenge. It's difficult to know what, if anything, is intervening between our stimulus and our response because we have so much social baggage that has been packed in to do this. And then we get told to be authentic. Well, what the heck is an authentic response? I don't even know, which is what therapy is for, and contemplation, right? Now, I'm quite intrigued by a newer therapeutic model called dialectical behavioral therapy, or DBI. This is really, really cool if you haven't looked it up a little bit. It's very close to Buddhism and Stoicism in the way that it deals with the idea of what you do with an emotion. The claim of dialectical behavioral therapy is that we have two things going on in our brains at the same time. We have an emotional mind, which is about feeling, and we have a logical mind, which is about reasoning and cause and effect and such. And between those, we have wise mind, or mindfulness. In this scenario, both the emotional response and the logical response miss something. They leave out dimensions of the self that would be authentic, and so you put them together, and then the wise mind is able to make a decision. Now, you see how that really is following stimulus, decision, response, just exactly as Buddhism and Stoicism have long done. Now, it is about contemplation, at least ideally. I read my emotion, I consider the consequences, and then I have a measured response. Maybe I don't get angry at Rev Kelly's insult and immediately shut down and apologize, but rather I say something like, "Why do you say that, Rev Kelly? I'd like to know more." Which is too healthy for me. I won't be happening, but it would be good, right? More therapy, more therapy. The handbook of Epictetus begins this first chapter this way. This is how I want to reflect at the end here. He says, just keep in mind what you have power over. Don't cross the line. If you forget, if you go looking for riches and power, you might get hurt. At any rate, you will miss what's important: happiness, freedom. Listen, learn what illusion looks like. Learn to say, wait, that's an illusion. Learn to ask, what is in my power? If it's not in your power, forget about controlling it. Can I control what Rev Kelly thinks of me? Well, only insofar as I have within my power the ability to act in what I would consider to be a moral and reasonable way. Right? I have to find that authentic me there and act in that way. My actions and my reactions are the only thing I have in my power. That's the teaching of Stoicism. We human beings have still not figured out what emotion means. We still haven't figured out how to work with our own consciousness effectively. We come up with lots of methods, CBT, DBT, CBD, LSD, but we don't understand our own minds. We can, however, look to some human beings who have found ways or who are exploring ways to navigate the messy business that we call life. We can find a path for ourselves. An emotion is something that comes up, out, right? Sometimes it comes out. And sometimes, if we use that wise mind of ours, we can find respect and love even for our neighbor.
I really hope that wasn't my public performance review.
Only part.
David and I have a great working relationship. I hasten to say, let's sing. Let's sing. Our song is One More Step. It's number 168 in the Gray Songbook, and I think the lyrics that we're singing will show up here. Please stand as you are able. We're singing 3 verses of this. Be seated. Anne, if you will come and share with us, and then Mark.
Good morning, Anne Langard from your Board of Trustees. And as we wrap up February, we are wrapping up the annual pledge drive and celebrating love in pink. Philanthropy, you know, the word actually means love of humankind. So back to definitions. You could do a whole sermon on that, David. But I can also tell you that if you have signed your pledge form for the new year, which is coming up quick, July 1, we thank you, and I'm sure you feel joy and goodness from doing that. And anyone who would like to do it today, I am going to be downstairs at a table just outside the Assembly Hall, and I'd love to help you out with completing a pledge form that you can either take with you or leave with me. We'll get it to the office. Thank you.
Tough ask to follow. I'm Mark Johnson, and while I am proud to serve as the chair of the board of our foundation, I am here today to thank and acknowledge all of the wonderful gifts of time, treasure, and talent that really combine to create and support this vibrant community. Each week, we'll come here and ask you to support and give you a number of ways that you can do that. You can go through our website and make a gift. You can also give on PayPal. The Vanco mobile app and is also available. Or if you're old school like me, you can write a check. For those of you who are in the building today, I will be downstairs after assembly in the lower auditorium and would be happy to help take a gift for the mini meal and also to support the work that we're doing here. You can also stop by the office and talk to Kate as well. So thank you all for your support and for helping to create this incredible community that otherwise just simply would have no way to exist. So thank you all.
Thanks, Mark.
Hi, my name's Adele Hansen. I'm a member of the Nominations Committee. And
Hold on, Adele, do we have the handheld on? Yes. Okay, good, thank you. Go ahead. Just really right on it.
Oh, okay. And today you're going to see the second of the 3 videos that we've created to give you an idea of what it means to be a leader at FUS. You've already seen 2 good examples, Anne from the Board of Trustees and Mark from the Foundation, and me. Oh, 3, because I'm on the Nominations Committee. So we're going to look at the video. I'm going to be downstairs at the Ask Me table. And so if you have any questions, please see me, and we'll talk a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Adele Hansen, and I'm on the FUS Nominating Committee. And today we're looking for members who might be interested in serving on the FUS Foundation Board. Today we have Rebecca Justiano, who will tell us a little bit about serving in this capacity.
The Foundation Board is the group that monitors our long-term investments. And we have a variety of funds that we keep track of and give the money out as needed according to the rules of each fund. Some of it goes to the general budget, some of it goes to specific programs, some of it goes to programs outside of FUS. But that's basically what we do. We monitor the investments and distribute the money.
Well, as a member of the FUS Foundation Board, what is your time commitment?
Oh, not much. About an hour or so of a meeting every month, and then a little bit of homework, mostly reading.
Well, what have you enjoyed about being on the Foundation Board?
I enjoy that I get to meet people that I wouldn't run into otherwise. I'm not that outgoing of a person, so just wandering around social hour, I don't meet a lot of people. Yeah, we're all in the same room together, but I don't get into conversations with them. But on the board, I get to talk to a wide variety of people with a wide variety of experiences, and we're getting to know each other, having a lot of fun, great conversations. And now when I come to social hour, I do talk to them, and then I meet the people they know.
Okay, FUS members, if you're interested, visit us at our table downstairs during the mini meal today. Or go to the FUS website, click on Community, then the Leadership Interest Form. We hope to hear from you.
Lovely, thank you. Nominating Committee, Justine, and everyone who participated in that. Thank you. So, announcements. For those of you who are in the building, we hope you'll join us downstairs in the lower assembly hall for our mini meal. Today, super sandwich bar featuring vegan split pea and turkey dumpling, or baked French toast, not bacon, baked French toast and chocolate chip pumpkin cake. While downstairs, stop by the card basket to send a note to folks who are unable to attend or anyone that we mentioned in the Joys and Sorrows. At 12 o'clock today in the Chalice Room downstairs, John Dietrich's Twilight of the Gods. Are we still waiting? Join the FUS Archives Committee at noon today in this first of 3 conversations looking at sermons given by FUS humanist leader John Dietrich. We focus on his December 1919 talk, Twilight of the Gods and the Religion of the Dawn. Now, can people come if they didn't do their homework and read the sermon ahead of time? Phil says yes. Don't let him give you a hard time. Come for a thoughtful and informal discussion. Next Saturday evening, March the 4th at 7 o'clock, is our first in a long time Coffee House Cabaret, featuring a full slate of our own talented members, music director Mike Vozich on keyboard, and beverages and delicious snacks prepared by Dave Lessler and the kitchen crew. Admission is free, though voluntary donations for treats will be appreciated. For more information, visit with Cindy Picata or Paul Riedessel after assembly. Thank you for your work in pulling this together. I've heard some of the rehearsals, and it's going to be a fun time. And I think with that, we'll extinguish our chalice. Please, Paul. If you'll say with me these words, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
Go out into the world, be fearless, ask questions, hold on to what is good. Strengthen the weak, comfort the fearful, serve the suffering. Do what makes you come alive, because, as the great Howard Thurman said, the world needs more people who have come alive. So may it be.